This is how to travel.
Holy shit.
Strap in.
Tell-
This is how to travel with no money, answering the 3 pillars of travel: transport, food, and accommodation.
Astro Kids and their journey to the 5th dimension.
Tree and I met about a year and a half ago. I'd been backpacking on and off for about 4 years. He had been going pretty consistently for 5. We have always somewhat traveled with little to no money. I started kind of looking for the cheapest hostel, but as I met more people that were living on the road, I saw how it's possible to live with hardly spending a dime at all. That lifestyle can actually be really fun and freeing.
So how to move with no money is to hitchhike. And to hitchhike, all you gotta do is stick out your thumb. Ideally at an intersection or a gas station, and have a sign on the destination that you want to go. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that stops people from doing that is fear of safety. I think that the way the world is perceived these days, people are like, oh, I used to be able to hitchhike in the past, now it's too dangerous. When really, I don't think the world's all that more dangerous. It's just this perceived fear from news and all these things. The more that I've hitchhiked and met people hitchhiking, you really start to see that most everyone out there is a great person who just wants to, oh, cool, let me pick you up, buy you a nice tea. That's like what's so beautiful about it too. You meet people in every little small area that you're passing through. There's random people that are kind enough to pick you up and go to the next spot. Sometimes you have to wait a while. You can end up waiting hours in certain places. But, I like to do it with a group because then it's like, oh, okay, cool. We'll just sit here and play music and hang out. And it's kind of like the culture of it is just accepting that it's going to take a while to get from point A to point B, but that's part of the journey. And what random town in Spain are we in now? Cool. Like, let's just hang out there. And going with the flow and accepting the unexpected is really a beautiful aspect of it also.
Hitchhiking also has the great benefit of being the most ecological way to move across the world, because you're already getting in a car that is already moving. So you're creating a lot less emissions in the world. Even if you're taking a bus, that means there's going to need to be more buses for more people. So just to put out a thumb, get in a random car, you're actually saving the world.
Hitchhiking. What about food? Tree's area of expertise.
How do you eat for free? Dumpster diving, being little raccoons.
Dumpster diving? That's gross.
Eating out of a bin, going behind supermarkets and going into the dumpsters and getting out all this food that they're just throwing out. So if you have a banana that's a little bit too brown, I think is ripe, they throw it into the bin. If you have an apple that has a little bump on it, it goes into the bin. But you just cut off that bump and it's perfectly edible. It's best not to go into the dumpster while the supermarket is open. Like little raccoons at night, go in there and scavenge. Now, this is technically illegal. I have not known anyone who's ever been prosecuted for doing this. If police do come, simply just say that you're combating food waste.
Because you are. Technically, it's the most ecological way to eat also, like you're eating things that would go to waste anyways. No matter what you're eating, something had to be shipped somewhere, unless it's completely local food. I don't think there has to be a stigma about it, really. There's amazing food in dumpsters, like completely fresh, like nothing wrong with it. Wash in a little bit of vinegar, clean as anything.
Yeah, and our friend just dumpster dived 7 bottles of wine because one of the bottles from the box was broken.
Yeah,
so
stuff. I've heard of like a 12 pack of coconut oil someone dumpster dived because one was cracked. Like, you can find crazy good stuff.
Also, while I was living in a cave in Granada, we would just go down from the mountains into the city and walk around all the fruterias, and we would just ask them for their bruised fruit or stuff that's gonna go bad, and we would come back with boxes and boxes of food for a whole community to consume and eat and enjoy and thrive on.
Accommodation. There's a lot of people that manage to travel all around the world through programs like Workaway and woofing. They're essentially work exchange where you can stay at somebody's farm or their hostel and work a couple hours a week, maybe 25 hours a week or something like that, and you get food and accommodation for free. So essentially free labor, but it has led me to finding these types of people that also live like this. So maybe you don't want to leave your house tomorrow and just start hitchhiking and eating out of dumpsters on your own. It doesn't sound that fun, but through Workaway is how I met somebody who was like, hey, we can hitchhike to the next location. And that was the first time I did that and realized, oh, wow, this is a really fun way to travel. That also led me into these types of communities that Tree and I have been now traveling to for a couple of years. We go to rainbow gatherings, which are like temporary gatherings of travelers from all around the world where you live off-grid. with no electricity. You cook over fire. It's like a big camping trip of hippies in the middle of nowhere. Those are organized all over the world. And that's another way that we manage to not spend money. You know, live communally, so you donate a little bit to the Rainbow so that you all buy your food in bulk, cook it in the woods, all living for free, camping for free. You know, we get lands that we are able to stay at for free. People always ask, like, you know, how do you find out about that kind of thing? How do you find this commune? How do you find... And for me, it was really just starting at that workaway. It all was like a chain reaction from there. The more people I met, the more I found out about other ways to do it. Just jump on in.
And at these communities and workaways, we're also supporting a movement that we believe in. Even though you're working for free, you're working for an idea for a better future for the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's usually at sustainable farms, eco-living, you know, people trying to live off the land, more independent of the grid. And you learn a ton, if that's a dream of yours, you know, about off-grid living, about, you know, starting a community one day. You know, I want to live in a community with all my friends, and this is one of the best ways to start learning how you could actually do that. And it's available at any time. You could do it tomorrow.
In this way of travel, you have to be prepared to say goodbye to some level of comfort. When I started traveling, I had a little car and we would drive around that, but at some point I didn't have that car. That was within 2 years of traveling. And at that point, I didn't even have a sleeping bag. So I was traveling for a whole year with just a coat. And when I first left, I would never have been able to do that. But from this constant growth and experience, I learned how to be prepared, not physically, but mentally, and accepting all situations.
Ultimate go with the flow. But it takes time. It was a journey for me, you know, little by little, letting go of more and more, being able now to feel very comfortable in any country, in any situation. Yeah, and that's why Workaway is a good place to start, because there's can be more comfort in that. You know, sometimes you have a home to stay in or something. Somebody's already established something where you know that you're going to be okay in that situation. It's a good segue into embracing unknown, unpredictability, you know, learning to live with less, but also with so much more.
Make the leap. Gotta make the leap of faith.
And then it's time to party.
Soon we'll be making more in-depth videos about how to do these specific things themselves. So feel free to subscribe and join us on our journey to the 5th dimension.